if there's anything that I can hope for or ask of people, it's to recognize your values, which I think our Building Skills for Change workshop in particular will help you do if you don't already know your values, but then to take action on them. I think that there are a lot of people who care very deeply about things, right to the point where they have to do something that intimidates them. If you're around people like you get to be at ICL workshops or as a facilitator in the community, you get to be around people who keep you inspired and keep the fire lit. That is a big part of why I really enjoy facilitating with ICL. I get to be around people of all ages and backgrounds and experiences who all give a damn and want to keep giving a damn and be more effective at it. And it keeps my fire lit, because there are times when the world feels a little bit dark and things feel a bit bleak, and knowing that there are other people in the world who care a great deal is priceless.
What I would really love to see is more people taking building skills for change and then really staying involved in the community afterwards. Our real strength and the way that we gain the most traction in being able to reach our goals and achieve the change that we want to see in the world is by staying connected and working together.
I would like people to, first of all, know that their stories matter, they matter. The first step is to collaborate, because you're not alone in this journey. And Institute for Change Leaders is the place that basically is an evidence of that faith and hope. It is true that collaboration exists, and when you are in collaboration with people who are looking for that change, you would find a lot of commonalities, even though experiences can be unique to individuals. There is always a way to come together.
So what do I want people to do? Well, one of the things that I have been obsessed with is, how do we build power? And related to that, the question of that power is not something negative. We need people, we need strategy, we need action, we need relationships. If there is something that you really, really, really want in the world, figure out who your people are, figure out who are the other people out there, then I would really encourage you to sign up for one of the workshops.
My big call to action would be to get involved, whether that means getting involved by checking us out. Come in for a session, whether it be the full Building Skills for Change for the 2 weekends, or if we're holding, if you have organizations that you work with and you see that we're doing a bit of a shorter condensed session, go and get involved. Ask us any questions. We have our social media, we have our emails, contact@changeleaders.ca. Go ahead and send us an email. Have some conversations. We have a whole staff team that is willing to answer any of the questions that you might have a conversation to see what would be the best fit for you. And I think that if you come at it with a bit of curiosity, because that's how I've kind of come into a lot of the pieces, and just my organizing journey is with a bit of curiosity and seeing like, what is this? And then having that little bit of bravery to go and explore that curiosity without having necessarily that fear of, oh dear, what am I doing? Am I getting ahead of myself? It's just, again, coming at it with a bit of curiosity, getting involved, taking that first step, and whether that be sending an email, having a coffee chat with our team, or just taking a full Building Skills for Change. I would suggest the Building Skills for Change, because even with every single iteration that I've done, whether it be from learning it as a student at the beginning to then even seeing it taught again and again, either by myself or my colleagues, I learn something new every single time, and I continuously get new tools to add to my little toolbox of organizing skills.
A lot of the movements that I'm a part of, and a lot of the movements that people around me are a part of, and the movements that we need in order to make the change that we want to see in the world, we're often very reactive, right? Like, we see something that's so outrageous, that feels so urgent, that we want to jump right into action. And that's good, that's important, right? That instinct is really valuable. But too often, what we're skipping over is everything that can lead to actually sustaining that work in the long haul. When you're just taking action and you don't feel that there's a strategy, when you don't feel that you're actually doing something that is going to have the impact that you want, it's hard to keep engaged, right? Eventually, you're going to give up. You're going to get apathetic. You're going to move on. If you are developing that strategy without actually having like a body of people who are able to do that reflection collectively, right, and actually buy into it, then you're not going to get very far. It's not something that you can ever have just one or two people who are going to sit down and do the most amazing research and figure out the path forward. That's not how we build collective power, right? We need to actually have people in relationship with each other, right? In trusting relationship with each other, so that you can have those hard conversations and keep working together even when you lose the argument, right? So that you can build the commitments that it takes to sustain the work in the long run. That's why ICL is so important. That's why what we teach is so important, right? It's the actual practice of centering relationships, of centering motivation, centering values, so that we can actually be more intentional about building and deepening and sustaining the relationships that are actually building the power that we need to win. I think that oftentimes the groups that we partner with are coming in with a sense of the change that they want, but they don't really have a sense of who the people are, who they need to empower to get there. We work with people to identify their constituency, to identify the leaders within it, to make a plan to actually recognize, okay, who are the leaders, who it's going to take to bring these people who we need along, and to build the relationships and build the trust that it's going to take to do that work. I think that it's also something that's really powerful to go through this kind of workshop collectively with your team. We're not just about working with the people who are already identified as the leaders. We're about really like building up collective leadership, right? Leadership as something that we all practice in different ways. By doing that work, right, of coming together, of sharing your stories, of deepening those connections, it can be really, really surprising and really, really exciting to see what emerges, right? Sometimes there's people who come in saying, I'm not a leader, right? I don't know what this has to do with me, who come out with a really, really compelling narrative and a really compelling call to action that they didn't have going into it, right? Because they've been able to have that experience of centering their own values, sharing it with the people around them, feeling that sense of deepened connection and contributing to collective agency that I think is so powerful. If you're serious about doing the work of building up collective power to win the change that we need, we want to work with you. If you have an idea of what the goal is and you need support in actually like reaching the people who it's going to take to get there, if you have the strategy in place, but you're finding like it's trouble to keep your team together, right, and working together effectively and having trust. If you've gotten started with some mobilization, if you're having your rallies, you're having petitions, and then you don't know how to escalate. If you've tried some rallies, some petitions, some like phone banking, and you're not sure how to escalate. If you have a sense of what some of the actors that you're trying to deal with are, but you need more support in building up a collective power analysis and mapping out your own theory of change, we want to work with you. Yeah, so go to our website, changeleaders.ca, reach out, and let's make a plan.